Welcome back, everybody, to our podcast, The Cunning Buffoons. My name's Dylan.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Edgar.
Poe?
Oh, Edgar.
Is there another Edgar?
I mow the lawn.
You're just the long guy.
UED.
We need, yeah. I'm gonna start waking you up on Saturdays. Edgar.
Roof. Easy.
Fix it.
So see,
Only money.
no money, just food,
Yeah,
just
food.
shelter.
Tequila?
Tequila. What are tequilas made of? What's that stupid plant called? Agave? I think it's agave. Anyways, what's up, Dylan?
So,
What you got?
nothing.
Nothing. You still haven't seen Until Dawn, have you?
Nope. I'm tired. Nope. I've had time. We had to work 5:30 all week.
Did you have to, or did you volunteer?
Like they
Had
made
to.
Caleb stay?
Weber Azula Agave.
They tried.
Agave.
That's what I'm saying. Why can you not just be like Caleb?
Because I can. I'll get in trouble.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
You
I'll
don't
be the
you don't
one
have
that
to do
gets
it
in
all the
trouble.
time, but it is okay to every now and then if they're like, "Do you want to stay?" to be like, "No, I
They
don't."
didn't ask. They were like, "Hey, you gotta stay. Like, it's mandatory." So I was like, "Whatever."
Okay, but Caleb still has his job.
He
For
might
now.
not if he keeps up doing that. I hate how factories do that though. Like read your company policy.
I think that if
Like
it,
in my company
it
policy, they had to
says-
give you 24 hours notice.
if it
did.
says
They gave us like a week ahead.
Oh, well then, yeah.
if
that's-
it says I'm 7 or 6:30 to 3:30, I'm leaving at 3:30.
Well, no, if they gave you a week notice, it's.
Mm.
And the problem is a lot of factories, I don't know, like work has gotten to the point to where there is no, they don't view your home life as anything important.
Yeah.
Like even like a bunch of managers and stuff over the years that I've known, like they were so sold out to the company that it was like that was all that mattered to them. Like it was their life. And it's like
That's what's
it's
stupid.
just but see that's bred from like there was a time in life when you could in this country where you could go to a factory, work your 30, 40 years, retire with a pension and have a good life. Like if you were loyal to the company would take care of you. But like that's not the way it is anymore. Like there is no companies loyal to you. I've watched so many. They do buyouts and junk all the time, to where it's like I've seen them force people to retire, and like that's needed to a certain extent. Like I think there are some people that you should like at a certain age or a certain mental or physical ability, you should kind of encourage people like, hey, you're old enough to retire. But then I've seen them do a lot of people. Like I worked for a company one time that did a buyout, right?
Yeah.
They gave you 2 weeks pay plus a day for every year you've been there. 1 day's pay for every year you've been there. And they were doing a forceful buyout. So, like, you either had to take a really crappy deal or get out. So, you had people that had been at this factory, this company, for 42 years. That the company is saying, your job is going away, but we're going to reward you for working for us. So, we're going to give you a day's pay plus 2 weeks for every year you've been here.
Sounds good.
Another factory I was at offered a buyout, right?
Dylan, you make like $50.
They gave the buyout as they gave them, I think it was a month's pay and then a week for every year you've been there. So the people that were offering to buy it, like there was one dude that was like really close to retirement, like he's a year away from retirement.
Mhm.
But he'd been there 30 something years, if I remember right. So he'd been there like 40 something years. But he had enough time to where they worked it out. Where I don't know if this is correct or not, but I know he had enough time in to where like the year he needed before retirement, he didn't have to worry about that. Because the buyout they offered him, they were saying, hey, we're going to pay you to leave, but we're going to pay you enough that it's a reward to leave. So like he had a whole year's worth of pay that he could ride out to retirement. And
Yeah.
like with him, he was like, I'm fine. Like that's perfect. But think about like you got people from the other place I was at that like 42 days of pay and you're 2 years away from retirement. That's not being nice to somebody. That's saying here's $50. Thanks for working for the year. Like it's not. And like you can't do that to like small companies can't necessarily do that all the time. But like you got some of these big companies, it's like treat people right. You want to know why your productivity is down, why your
Morale.
morale, and but see that's the morale starts it all. You ruin people's morale and you lose productivity, you lose quality, you lose people wanting to work, you get high turnover. And then they make the other mistake of they get a guy in there that wants to work and they just put everything on him. They let everybody else slack off. And if you're willing to work, they make you work 10 times as hard. And it's just not like I did it for years because I grew up in construction. Like I grew up getting paid by the job, not by the hour.
Yeah.
And so I went somewhere where you got paid by the hour, and it's a different mentality of work. Like it's a different pace. It's a different level of how you need to work because
Yeah,
most places pay you by the hour will eat you alive and work you to death.
Yeah, I was told I had to care about people's morale and all that. I was like, I don't care.
Well, see, no, but you do.
I don't though.
A happy workforce will work hard for you.
No, not my. I don't. I care about my people, but the other people, they're. I don't. No, I'm sorry. I do not care.
Well, I mean, that's not your job. You're responsible for the people you're over. That's it.
Like I don't. Like somebody was like, me and this guy used to walk to our break room like 3 minutes early, because ours is in the very like farthest back pretty much. So he was like, hey, y'all can take 3 minutes. Y'all can go do a bathroom break, wash your hands, whatever.
Give you enough time to actually do a break instead of get to the break room, turn around, go back.
People were pissed. They're like, why they get to do it, we don't. And I was like, I don't care. That's just what we did, so I don't care.
I had that when I was a dispatcher. I think I was over like 60 something people. And I mean, what was I, 19, 20?
You're a baby.
Yeah. But like my room ran like a well-oiled machine. Because like I got in there and worked with them. I broke out machines. Like we run record numbers, we run record quality, but I got them all together and like I explained to them, like, dude, I don't care what you do. If you want to take a 30-minute break and the person that's breaking you out doesn't mind, and then when they get back, they take, or when you get back, they take a 30-minute break. If you don't get caught, I don't care if you run your machine naked. Run quality, run production, don't get hurt. And I treated them with respect. Like if you needed help, I'd help you. I'd be there for you. And my crew they worked like mules.
Mm-hmm.
I told them not to run one time. They put out a number out there, I think it was like 1.2 million something of production for the night. And like the record was like 800,000. I'm like, we got that. So we blew that out of the water. And then the next, they put up like a little bit higher number. And they're like, there's no way you'll get it. And this is management telling us this. And I'm like, why are you putting numbers out there and then telling us we can't hit them? Do not tell me I can't do something. And so I went out there and had that talk with my crew. I'm like, they're telling us we can't do this. And they're like, oh, hell no. So then they run the production again. I told them, if you guys hit this, we'll cook steaks, baked potatoes. Like, I'll bring in everything. The supervisor was going to pay for it all, and I was cooking it all, right? So they hit it, and we brought in, we cooked like, I think it was like close to $1,500 worth of steaks. Baked, he brought New York strips. Like, this dude, he was Jew, but, like, he didn't mind spending money on his people. Like, it was hilarious. But, like, this is the same dude I watched wait in line for 35 minutes to get his penny back. Okay? Like, that's how tight he was, but he spent that much money on his crew to reward them. And then after they ate, I'm like, guys, once you eat, I don't give, like, run the machine however you want. Production doesn't matter tonight. Like, it does not. You guys have been rewarded. You're working hard. Take an easy night. They hit higher than the number that got them the steak dinner. I'm like, guys, what are you doing? They're like, oh, we know how to do it now. And it's like, okay. They done the same thing at another factory I was at. They had the line back there, right? And I wasn't on the line. I was at the end of the line. I was like quality.
Yeah.
And they changed the line and told them, you guys won't be able to hit your numbers every night. And so they started hitting their numbers every night. They changed the setup again. Oh, now you won't be able to hit your numbers every night. They started hitting their numbers every night. Oh, you won't be able to do. They kept doing that. And finally they were like, well, it's because we need you to make a certain amount, but we want to make sure that people, because they worked 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. That's it. There was no other option. Like, that's the only 2 shifts in the factory. And they were like, well, we need a certain amount of work to be able to keep y'all from running out of work. And it's like, so you're telling me that you're changing it up to keep us from being able to work 40 and go home? You want us to be here 84 freaking hours a week? And they were like, well, yeah. Why?
That's jerk.
Like, as a factory, you're paying out a crap ton of overtime, and you're wasting millions of dollars a year instead of just allowing us to work enough to get the job done and go home. And it was just the stupidest mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I never, like,
Never worked at a factory.
I grew up construction,
Don't
so,
plan
like,
on it.
for me, like, it's kind of a different mentality, but, like, some of the factories do some stupid stuff.
I'll work at a factory if one will hire me now. But other than that, no.
I mean, there's some of them that aren't bad. Like, some of the people that I've worked with over the years, some amazing people.
But that's the
Heck,
thing.
one of your good buddies now is a dude that I worked with when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome dude. And, like, you meet some incredible people. You just always wind up with the leadership that is controlling the factory is not at that factory. Like, your plant managers and your managers and stuff don't really have control. Like, it's whoever corporate is.
My problem with my job now is I always just get blamed for stuff that's like, that could have been so easily fixed if the person who did that would have just been paying attention. Like the sweet tea valve got left open when someone tried it. I come in work and they're like, you left the sweet tea valve open, so it's your fault the tea leaked everywhere. Maybe the person who made the tea should have looked at it and said, oh, tea's leaking on the ground. Flip that down real quick.
Or, I mean, like, even if it accidentally got bumped, even if you'd be like, okay. I got called in the office one time.
I said okay.
I was the yard dog driver. And I pulled a trailer through the parking lot that had the ramps too far down. Because we had an actual yard dog to where you didn't have to jack the trailer jacks. You could just hit the hydraulics and it would lift it. Well, apparently they had it really far down. It was on an angle or whatever, but like the jacks were dragging. Brakes were also messed up. I had to like drag the trailer and everything. I mean, I just drug this bastard. I didn't care. Like, the engineer called me in there and he's like, okay, we got to come up with, and this guy already didn't like me, but he's like, we got to come up with like an action plan to figure out how to make this not happen again. I'm like, I will pick the trailer up higher.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but I'm like, no, we don't need to do all this crap. I made a mistake. You got some scratches in your poor little parking lot. I'm sorry. But I will pick up the trailer higher next time. And also, the reason I didn't notice that it was dragging the jacks is because I was also dragging the daggone wheels because you got junky trailers. I'm running a yard dog that I've blown up 3 times this week. Like the day before this, I had blown the dipstick out of the transmission. I'm going up the hill with an empty trailer, and it won't go. And so I just put the floor down, held it there, blah, and it goes. And I look back, and there's a flood of transmission fluid, and the dipstick's flying through the air. They called the company to come out, and I went in there through the keys to them. I was like, you need to call somebody to fix it. They're like, why? I'm like, it's broke. They're like, we're right there. You ain't getting nothing in or out. It's dead. They changed the filters twice a week for like the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about like giant, like foot tall, 6-inch round filters, 3 of them filled with rust top to bottom for a month. That's how much junk was in that transmission. It was an old yard dog given to us by like another factory within the company. And they were like, oh, you can have it. I wonder why. The turbo was hung and we didn't know it. Like it wouldn't spool, but we never knew that. So I'm coming around the corner again. I'm at another side of the building. I'm coming up the hill. I do have a load this time. And it's doing the same thing. It's slowing down, so I just hammer it. Just keep pushing it further. Finally, I got it to the floor, and I feel like a little tug. Just a little and I hear psst, and the tires chirp, and my head hits the back glass. That turbo, like all the pressure I had on it, it finally broke free and started spooling again, and like I thought I was fixing to hurt myself. Like I was trying to like freak out and hit the brake before I went through the fence. It was running pretty good after that, but like the heater we had to use is we stretched an extension cord out there and put a heat gun upside down in the seat with a little special holder we had made to defrost the cab in the winter.
It works.
Multi-billion-dollar company.
It worked though.
Yeah, it worked, but you shouldn't have to do it. I will You can go ahead and swap to the cam. I will admit one thing about it, though, and this shows you, like, that I grew up redneck, right? The yard dog driver is leaving. I'm not, like, officially the yard dog driver, right? I'm just a redneck that works at the factory. And the manager calls me in there, and he's like, oh, come on, son.
Hang on.
He's like, I hear you can drive just about anything. And I'm like, maybe. Why? And he's like, well, you know, dude's leaving, so there you go. You're the new yard dog driver, and he tosses me the keys. And I'm like, well, crap. I'm like, okay, let me go check this truck out, you know. So I go out there, and I put the keys in it, and I start it, and I sat there. You know the e-brake that you got to cut off on, like, big air trucks, like dump trucks and stuff? Yeah. I couldn't find it. I mean, I could not. I sat there for 15 or 20 minutes. And finally, I go inside. Guy's name was Terry. And I was like, Terry, I need your help, bro. And it happened to be Friday. And, like, Terry did French Fridays. He talked in a French accent all Friday. So Terry looks at me and he goes, what do you need, my friend? I'm like, damn it, Terry. I need your help out here, okay? And so I get in there and I sit in the seat. And he climbs up and he's looking in the window. I'm like, where's the e-brake? And he goes, right there. It's this giant yellow diamond on the dash that shows a brake in the air symbol. I'd never seen one. I was looking for the freaking vice grips.
Yeah, that you pull. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for the little pair of vice grips. And the dump is the medium pair of vice grips. And the gear shift was the big pair of vice grips. I ain't never seen a dump truck with an actual daggum yellow button. And he's like, what'd you grow up driving? I'm like, dude, I grew up in construction. He's like, oh, you're looking for pliers, aren't you? And I'm like, dude, how'd you know? He's like, that's how I grew up too. I was like, dang it. Truck drivers, though, if you ever do work at a factory, try to work in shipping and receiving. Like, you want to meet some interesting characters. Some of them truck drivers come in as crazy. You ever talk to any truck drivers?
I don't want to be a truck driver because okay, good money, man.
Traffic.
I've never thought I want to shift through 18 gears in one go.
Now that,
I
granted,
don't like 5 gears.
my yard dog was an automatic.
Yeah.
Now, like, I can drive stick shift trucks and all, like dump trucks and all that, but like when they were like, you're going to be the yard dog driver, I didn't care how crappy it was. I was just happy it was an automatic. And it had the hydraulic lift. A buddy of mine, actually a couple buddies of mine, I think our neighbor used to too. Like, he yard dogged a while, and I'm like, you know, they got you a yard dog? He's like, no, I run a day cab. I'm like, dude, you're swapping trailers all day in a day cab? Every time you hook up a day cab or like a regular truck, you've got to go jack the trailer jacks up and like move everything. And it's like, what? No wonder your arms look like Popeye. And he's like, yeah. And like all of them are like, you should big old beefy arms. Like, if you're going to have, as a company, especially if you can afford it, if you're going to have somebody driving a yard dog and swapping trailers all day, man, get them one with a hydraulic lift. It's just rude not to.
Yeah.
Like dump trucks that have the manual roll that you actually have to crank the roll over and back.
I
Yeah.
didn't even know that was a thing. Those things are, every vehicle I've seen those on, they suck. But it's always old spreader trucks. So
Yeah, you're looking at the crappiest of the crap.
Yeah.
The new ones are, and they serve a purpose, like to keep the gravel from supposedly keep the gravel from flying about. I mean, who pays attention to the stay back 200-foot sign? Unless it's a logging truck and you're from our generation.
It's a liability. I mean, if you get hit and you're not 200 feet back, that's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault, but who pays attention to it? Like I said, unless it's a logging truck and you're from my generation and you watch, Final Destination, and you're like, stay the heck away from them things. There was a group a long time ago that did like a YouTube series on like testing that out to see like how deadly it would actually be.
Did you hear about the new one?
Mm-hmm. I'll go see it.
Me too.
I've watched almost all of them over the years. The new
Final
Destination.
What is that?
Final Destination.
I've heard of
Bloodlines.
it.
Guy
Yeah.
escapes, for all you people who haven't seen it,
Like a
but
time
like,
loop
it's
or something,
ridiculous if
isn't
you
it?
haven't seen it. But
I haven't seen the trailer.
not the trailer. I'm talking about like the
The
series.
original.
Yeah, the original or the quality of the series. Guy has a premonition.
Yep.
We're all going to die on this plane crash. Who doesn't get on the plane crash? And a lot of his friends don't get
Actually,
on the
he
plane crash.
freaks plumb out, and they kick him off the plane, if I remember right.
I
Doesn't
ain't
he?
seen it in years, baby. You're probably right. But like, you tell the story.
I think he's like they're going on spring break trip, and he's on the plane, and he falls asleep. And then he wakes up, and like some of the stuff that he dreamed at, like the beginning of the dream starts happening,
Mhm.
and he starts freaking out. And so they kick him off, if I remember right.
I mean, that
And then he is standing in a little terminal and watching the plane as it goes to take off, and then pew,
but then like
explosion.
he was supposed to die. They were all supposed to die. So death's coming for him.
Isn't there like 3 of those?
There's like
There's a
why
lot.
don't you look it up for me? I think there's like 12.
I've heard of that.
It's ridiculous.
What
And the
it was.
first one's pretty good. The best thing about it is if you want to prepare yourself for Final Destination, any one of the movies, go to YouTube and look up the bus kill reels. It's where they change every death in all of them to the bus getting hit, them getting hit by a bus. Whether they're in a backyard barbecuing, whether they're in the shower, it doesn't matter. It's a hilarious compilation of buses coming out of anywhere and hitting somebody.
So
There
every
are
animated
5
character-
movies and the new one.
So 6.
Well, yeah, but
Now, you don't like dolls, right? Have you ever seen the old school horror movie series that was Puppet Masters?
Heard of it, never watched
You've
it.
never seen them? Even if you don't like, they were like budget B, I think. They might have been mainstream. I don't know. But like, I loved them as a kid, and I didn't like dolls either. Still don't like dolls, as you can tell. But they're good. And the dolls are like, they're so terrifying that it's like nobody would have these as toys. You know?
Yeah.
But they're hilarious. Because like one of them has a little drill
Oh.
on his head.
drill on his
Yeah,
head?
his head is like a big drill bit. Like he's got a normal head, but like the top of it is like a big drill bit. And like he'll kill people by like just running in their chest and like drilling through them. I've watched a lot of budget B horror. There's some pretty good budget B horror, and then there's some ones that you're just like,
Did you order my carb spacer?
no, I can't find the one that actually fits it.
Okay, that's great.
I'm gonna have to print it, or we can drive up to what's that name? Moto Gear.
Yeah, but they're not open on weekends, so I'll have to wait till Monday.
Okay, we'll drive up there and order one, or we can try to print one.
I'm not talking enough this episode because I don't know what we've been talking about. Factory jobs and movies.
I'm tired, so I'm really not here anyway.
Well, what you got for me? Throw it down.
Heroin.
I got a buddy that like legitimately was terrified
I know.
of like someone coming up sticking him with a heroin needle
That's
against his will, and then him
valid
being
fear.
addicted to heroin for the rest of his life.
I would not want to be addicted to heroin.
I was never afraid of it until you told me about that, and then that is a pretty terrifying thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's why I call certain things heroin. There are certain things in life that once you get a taste of, like they never go away. Like
Hmm.
there's drugs like that. There's activities like that. There's, like first time you get a really good adrenaline pump. Like you're this far away from dying.
I don't even know if I've ever had that. I probably have, but I don't
Yeah, I'll
remember.
probably have to.
What
I
about
don't
when you were
remember.
sitting up in the air watching the log come towards my face?
Well, that's not him dying.
Yeah,
That's
it
just
wasn't me
you.
dying.
That did make your heart jump at all?
I was like, dang. Oh, he's fine.
I don't know. I remember a few times in Atlanta in your truck. Where did all my sound go? Talk?
I don't know. What color is he? Orange?
I don't know. Something just like I think it's better.
Hmm.
You're running away from your microphone. You keep talking
No,
back
it's
here.
You
this.
keep doing
I don't know.
this.
I
and you
couldn't
go,
hear
like,
y'all.
right here. Then you come back, and then you're like, oh, hey, there's my
I'm not
microphone.
doing that. But anyway,
Bull.
I don't.
We have you on camera.
Anyway, a few times in Atlanta with your truck with no.
Oh, when the
Brakes.
brakes
That
are
was
terrible
pretty-
and we're hauling a car?
That
yeah.
was pretty scary. And then there's one time me and Sandusky we had his Dodge, that green trailer, and a tractor like the big green John Deere that was way over the weight limit for that trailer. And so we were like coming down a hill, and then we didn't know there was like a big turn right here, and he was like, "Well, screw it," and we just took that really freaking fast,
One of
and I
my
almost hit the ditch, and that was pretty fun.
one of my favorites with that darn Dodge, which I mean that truck was a beast. I'll give it that. But he's like, it's 4-wheel drive. I'm gonna drive across the creek and go check this other part of my property. And I'm like, no, you're not. And he's like, yeah, I'll make it. It's 4-wheel. It's got power. And he's just blah, 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 and just straight in the mud. And I'm like, dude, diesels are too heavy for that crap. And it took what, like 2 trucks and a tractor to get him pulled out? Like,
Where at his?
yeah, at the Lowry Road.
I remember that.
You might not have been there.
I remember he did that at Dylan's Pastures one time. He was like, "I can drive to your well tank."
No, no.
We
It was,
couldn't even make it halfway.
you
there.
know, where the barns by the house were.
Yep.
Right, and you know where we put the shed.
Oh gosh.
It was the creek across that field. He was going to drive over there because he had some cows, or not cows, or goats or something. He was going to check on them, just look at the land. And I'm like, you ain't driving across that.
I remember there's been a few times I bush hogged that field. And like in the Kubota, you can eat a ditch. You can sink that back tire.
It's got
tire.
pretty good
Right. And you just
balance.
you tip, but you keep going. That big John Deere, that cabbed,
No, they're terrifying.
you lose that back tire, you're going.
Man, I was
It's like taking a track skid steer off a trailer, sitting there doing this.
I was disking a farm like that one time, and I was coming up a hill, and it had just been dozered, and it had been raining a bunch. So, like, as I'm coming up the hill where a tree had been, all the dirt was soft. And so, like, my front tires kept climbing, and my rear tires started just going down. So, like, I'm going like this. And I was like, please catch, please catch, please catch, please catch. Because, like, it had no roll bars or nothing. Like, I've turned over skid loaders and, like, been looking at the sky and had to climb out and hang on the buckets and everything else. Like, that's no big deal because you're enclosed.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're sitting on an open tractor, you're like, please, please no. Please don't kill me. I would like to live. And then I had to turn around and get on an even smaller tractor and seed the whole farm. I spent like 3 weeks disking and then turned around. I was so excited because I was done. You're talking about like 12 hours a day, 7 days a week disking. And I was like, yes. And then, like, Granddaddy looked at me and was like, now seed it. Okay.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I enjoyed raking wasn't bad. Cutting hay isn't bad. I never belled it, so I'm glad I never had to do
Belling it sucks.
I never had to do any belling, so I just would cut it. And he had the one that sticks out to the side, so it's you got clearance, you can see everything. And then we never fluffed or whatever it's called.
Tethered.
We never tethered.
Well, it was always so darn dry, you didn't have to.
We just raked.
And then, like, that stupid hay bind.
Which one?
The hay bind, the only one that was a hay bind. The one 14 foot behind the daggum tractor that wonky off to the side like a drunk 3-legged buffalo. The one I drove a lot for him.
The rake?
The one that cut hay and then squeezed it and then piled it for you.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
The one on the Mahindra that I drove had a 14-foot drive shaft that we had to bring here and fix it one day.
I thought that was the rake.
No, that is a hay bind. It cuts it, it rolls it in between 2 rollers and squeezes it, and then, like, goes ahead and piles it up like a rake. But yeah, they're like driving drunk buffaloes. It's like, it's on a 2-point swivel, and they're like 12 foot and off to the side beside your tractor. How are you supposed to turn that around?
180.
It's in 40 acres of field.
Yeah, you got it.
And that shaft, it broke, but like was still holding on by like that much metal. And I've got it like 2,500 RPM. Like, I'm cooking through there, and I like feel something wobble, and I look back, and it's broke like right at the other end, and it's moving like this much. And so, like, I reach over there real quick and I shut it down, and I'm staring at it. I'm like, please stop before you break, because all I could see in my head was it breaking and then coming up, just knocking my head right off. But I was like, oh, it's cool, it stopped. Then we went and welded it, fixed it, balanced it, put it back on, and
The Mahindra was a fun little tractor.
dude, that thing was a beast.
I love that tractor.
It was rated at
And he
like,
sold it. And
I like my John Deere.
that thing's a piece of crap. You cannot. I think straight.
It's like really touchy to. Well, not I wouldn't say touchy to drive. I like driving. It's fun.
It's
It's got your classic
sometimes you
stuff.
fall in love with equipment that's just janky.
The key don't even work.
the Mahindra was kind of janky. So
Barely.
Yeah, but
That-
the Mahindra you could
that
do
thing's like blah blah blah. It like you shouldn't be doing clutch work like you're driving my Nissan on a track. That's not how you should be working the
Hey,
clutch.
sometimes you got to do what you got to do,
It's-
man. I mean,
you have to sit there and like rev the gas while letting go of the clutch. That is not how a tractor is supposed to work.
Hey,
I don't like.
It's
I
not
hate
manual.
the double clutch systems on some of the older tractors.
The double brakes.
No, the double clutch.
I don't know
to
that
where halfway down's the PTO, all the way down's the drive?
Oh, I've never.
No, halfway down's the drive, all the way down's the PTO. So like it's the same clutch all the way to the floor, right? Get your PTO engaged and let up about a quarter of the way until your PTO engages. And then when you continue further up, it's now your drive clutch.
That sounds about as dumb as having
And
foot
there it
pedals
is.
for your bucket on a skid steer.
Oh, have you ever driven one of those, Dylan?
I haven't.
A
Which
skid steer
ones?
with the foot bucket controls?
Have you never driven a skid steer?
I've driven a skid steer. I don't think I've driven the bucket control.
You drove a Gale and
Wait.
the JCB, didn't you?
Didn't you get to drive the skid steer because you were just stupid to drive the tractor?
Yeah, because didn't know how to drive that tractor.
Yeah, not all of them are like that.
Reverse.
I'm not used to those. I'm used to them in the middle of me.
Yeah, but anyways.
Reverse. That one had the quick shifter. You literally do this, click, and it goes in reverse.
I don't
But
know.
if you
You're an
drive
idiot.
like the old school, there's a bunch. I mean, there's still skid loaders that come out brand new like this, and I don't understand. But the left, right, it's like a zero-turn lawnmower.
Mhm.
But then the bucket controls are your feet.
Yeah, it's
Do you know how bouncy a skid loader is? Now imagine trying to do fine bucket controls like when you're cleaning a house. Imagine trying to do them fine controls with your feet while bouncing. Doesn't happen. And I've known some guys that could do it, but like I just hated it. Give me all my steering and give me my bucket.
sense. It's so much easier. Like I feel like I imagine because you can just I feel like it'd be way easier to just control all that. Just you got
Oh, it is. That's all the ones you drive. You drive all the skid steers you've ever driven are the ones that left hand's driving around, right hand's your
I don't
bucket.
even remember.
Mhm.
I know it's easy to, and like just the way like you can look and you can do both at the same time, and I feel like it just flows so much easier.
Yeah, but you have so much more control, fine motor control of your hands too, is a lot of it. But like, and I don't know, they might have done it for simplicity at first. That's kind of like the rear exit or the rear offloading concrete trucks.
What?
Almost all concrete trucks used to unload from the rear. The chute was on the rear. The driver's in the front.
Yeah.
The driver's that controls the flow of the chute and the offload and is trying to drive around is in the front of the truck looking 40 foot behind him trying to control this, 2-foot chute. Then they come out and made new ones to where the chute was in the front where the driver could see it.
Mhm.
And like it improved everything. Like I had guys that would come pour footers for me that like we'd had ready to pour. All I had to do was walk in front of him and put my rake on top of the stobs so he could see the level because it's hard to see them stobs in the ground because they're the color of dirt, I'd walk in front of him. He'd pour the whole footer. I wouldn't have to touch a dadgum thing. But he wouldn't have been able to do that trying to drive and look in the rear view mirror. Like there's certain things that like it took them so long to come up with it. It's like, why did you not think of that first?
I mean, you gotta learn error by trial or fire.
You had trial by error. You had it right the first
Trial by
time.
fire? No, that's usually you learn like, you lose a lot of money by fire.
I think I said that all right, guys.
No,
Yes. What did I even say?
you're dumb. That's what you said.
I am dumb. Anyway, I liked the 4-wheeler with no brakes. That was the best.
Oh my gosh.
As long as you can know how to downshift and you know how to throw it in reverse really fast.
Yeah, but like that's another one of those.
I remember Allie drove it for the first time, and she got her privileges taken away because she ran over a dog cage. And
Well, she didn't run over a dog.
But it was like, first off, it was the first time you have a 4-wheeler with no brakes. What did you expect?
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean, I kinda
not
agree with that.
everybody is like me and would jump off a 4-wheeler going 20 and jump in front of it and slow it down. Like I would just jump off and like pull it, put it in neutral and then grab it and yank it back.
Have you ever? I would like to. We need to go to some woods by some chicken barns soon, and we need to do a couple reels of us just videoing at night by the chicken barns.
Why?
Just because, just thinking about it, like a lot of people are from the city, right? And then you got a lot of country people too. That like country people get out in the woods at night and stuff, but like until you have been in the woods close to a chicken barn at night with a flashlight, you don't understand being really creeped out by cats.
Oh yeah, you can like I feel like Lowry was really bad.
Oh, dude,
you
it was
could
terrible.
take a light. If you took like a bright spotlight, you could just shine. You'd see thousands of eyes, hundreds of eyes.
I'm in the woods looking for cows, right? Because this was when he got the demon cows that decided they wanted to be on the mountains instead of the flat plains, and they just kept escaping.
Hmm.
But like, it's middle of the night, we're looking for them. Well, not middle of the night, it's probably 11 or 12, and I'm just going through the woods nonchalantly, just chilling, and like, I'm in the middle of the woods, and I shine my light, and there's 100 cat eyes, and I do this, and the number never changes, no matter where the light hits. There's 100 cat eyes, even when I went up. It was one of the only times that I've ever been like, I might die by 1,000 cat bites if they decide they're hungry.
Yeah.
Like, it's freaking
I
terrified.
remember when we got the goats and we got that note on our door at like 12. And it was like, yo, your goats are out. And we were like, dang. I remember that was like, I remember that night, but I don't remember that night. But I remember being scared of the dark, but I remember not being scared at all for some reason. I was by myself. I remember walking the fence lines with Angel.
Oh, you're talking about when they got out back and we had to
Yeah.
chase them for 2 or 3 hours
But-
in the middle of the night.
But I remember walking all these fence lines. Angel was like probably 50 foot behind me. I mean, like just by myself casually. I think I was so tired and
Yeah.
so not there, like fear was nowhere.
See, I also woke y'all up and was like, guys, we got goats missing. Let's go. So, like, you had something to concentrate on. You weren't even thinking. You were like, we got goats. We got to
I
find
remember
them.
one time when we were walking down to do something, and like it was just you, me, and Sandusky. Sandusky just stopped and took a pee. Me and you just kept walking. He was like, "You guys are so cool." He's like, "I love that like nobody just stops and like none of you turned around. None of you.
What are you doing?
Yeah, like y'all just kept walking and just went down there to start fixing the fence. It was no questions asked.
Your mama's been married to me for 22 years, and she's still at night. I will stop, and she will turn her cell phone light and turn around and be like, are you okay? I'm like,
You don't turn around if a guy just stops. You can say, "Are you good?" But
well, I mean, unless it's your first date and you walked out in the woods alone.
don't go in the woods on your first date alone. That's weird. Unless like you've known each other for like maybe 6 years. And still it's still weird. Going to the woods just for a first date is kind of weird.
Hiking for a first date is weird.
Yeah.
Well, hiking.
It's so weird. What this guy could be a serial killer. Women do not go on hiking.
Serial killers
dates.
don't exist no more. Come on.
How do you know that, like, she's not a serial killer? Cut his gain up a little.
Women are too weak
one's gay?
to be
Orange.
I'm gonna
It's the
get
black
killed.
one
I'm
right up
so
at the
dead.
top.
So women cannot be serial killers
Whoa,
because
down just a little.
women are weak. Women have no strength.
Bro, the day
Down.
a girl tells you, "Hey, let's go hiking,"
I'm never going hiking.
I am going to go.
No,
well,
better.
he ain't coming back.
Not when you
I'm
laugh.
sure of it.
I know.
I mean, you
listen,
can crank him down just a little.
Women are weak.
When I hear
I
you
think it
somehow
ended up lower than it
mysteriously
was when you
died
told
in
me to
your
cut it
sleep,
out.
when I'm gonna know it's your wife. I'm gonna go.
I'm
He
not
deserved
sexist, guys. I just speak facts.
I cannot
What
wait for
fact
them to
did you
die.
speak?
Women are weak.
Get mysteriously
Ay, ay, ay.
poisoned.
See, the problem
okay,
is not all women are weak, but like
it's just
genetically they're
difference.
built different.
Yeah, it's different.
Absolutely.
Men have the most powerful hormone, or one of the most powerful hormones, in my opinion, known to man, that dumps in us naturally. Like, we were built for work and power.
Have you seen the video of the cop picking up a car?
Because it flipped
No.
over on somebody.
That's just like it's one of those that just shows what testosterone and adrenaline does. to
No,
a
see,
person.
there's women that can pick up the cars on adrenaline too.
But it
The
was
problem is it's testosterone that
Yeah.
makes it to where we don't necessarily have to have adrenaline to do things. You know.
But he gets out there and this kid's freaking out. Bro just like deadlifts. Like just
Now, see, there's a
car.
mother that did that with her kid
Yeah.
stuck under the rear car, like a little tiny woman. But like the difference is,
why did you do that?
I think the difference is not just like physically. I think it's also emotionally.
I think it
Women
does-
are
it
built for
does-
different situations.
It does help that a lot of men are bigger. It does help when in disaster situation picking up stuff.
Well,
like-
I mean, just our muscle structure. Everything on us is built different.
yeah,
You want to do trash
It's
can
almost
Cam?
like we were designed or something.
Yeah.
it's almost like we were designed to be working, and they were designed to have kids.
Whoa, Malachi, you can't say.
I
The
just
problem-
said that.
The problem is, no,
Let's read Genesis together.
we were all supposed to be working.
with that.
We just have different jobs. That's
Yeah,
what
I
people don't
know.
realize. You good? Ah,
I'm
but-
the only one that makes it on.
Yikes.
dang, Dylan, you suck.
I'm getting good at it. I'm just.
Wah, wah.
Who's this? I'll
Dude.
shoot it.
Don't be eating my bottle.
Nah.
But no, that's what I think most people are. They fail at realizing all these. There's feminists, there's guys, there's a bunch of people that I think are just stupid. But like, the issue is they're all arguing over stupidity. Like I've seen 100 million arguments with women that are like, well, men have this much percentage of this job and this job, but then the second someone says, okay, well, you want to go be a bricklayer? And they're like, well, no. Well, then shut up.
I like the one.
Like-
There's a guy. He'll take TikToks where girls are sitting there going, "Well, I don't think we need men," and he'll take it aside. He'll go, "See those nails you're wearing? Invented by a man. Your air conditioning, invented by a man. Your ceiling fan, invented by a man. Those eyelashes."
Well, that's
And it's like, okay, you think you don't need men, but everything you use.
Well, no, see, that's besides the point. It doesn't matter who invented what you're using. It's the sheer arrogance of saying we don't need men at all. Like, I've met women and talked to women that legitimately, like, men could just die and it wouldn't bother them at all. It's like, do you realize how stupid you are? First of all, you're like, let's doom the human race just because I don't like men. Second
Or
of all,
one guy treated you wrong.
let's be arrogant enough to assume that you have the ability to decide something that fast.
Yeah.
And then third of all, what gives you the right to think that I care about your opinion enough that you just started word vomiting stupidity on me in the middle of a gas station?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't come up to you and explain to you how ditzy and stupid you were just because you were. Don't come up to me and tell me I'm a chauvinist man because I opened a fucking door for you.
Moral of the story: gas stations should be for gas, and then if you're on a road trip, a restroom. Otherwise,
I talk to everybody.
need a
I
gas
can't
station.
help it.
Gas, no drama.
I don't know. Every now and then there's got to be drama.
I don't know.
If
I
it's a
like,
robbery, okay, I'm good with that. A stick up, let's go. But
I
other
like-
than that, I'm good.
I like the gas station. It's a cool place.
are
Something.
you saying you want to commit
Okay,
a
but
robbery?
here's like the problem. It's so
No.
weird to me. When I drive with people, it's because like my whole life we're stopping at a gas station at least once a day.
Uh-huh. It's the best food you're going to get.
Well, no, not even that. Just like a drink. Like
This is why.
I don't know. He has a gas station addiction. Like
I grew up in construction.
mom's
fool.
not going to a gas station.
That was half my childhood. The other half was in nursing homes.
You just have a nicotine addiction and a caffeine addiction. You're not talking about your childhood.
I like food.
I like to stop at gas stations. Like what?
I do like get a nice like mom and pop gas station. Man,
That is something that like there's an entire swath of our country that has no clue
it's
about.
dying though.
What
It's
is- what?
dying.
Mom and pop?
Gas station food?
Is that what
Talk
that was?
talk to a northerner. The fact that we stop at a gas like Sandusky was talking to his brother and he's talking to him about, I'm gonna go down to the gas station get some food. I think his brother was with him. I'll have to have him tell the story at some point because he tells it better. But like his brother's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Dude, I'm gonna go get a meat and 3 at the gas station." Like it's the best food you can freaking get. And he's like, "Gas station?" He's like, "Gas stations have like bagels and like heat up biscuits." He's like, "Nah, and he's like showing him the food. It's like in the South, we throw down at gas stations.
They
That's
don't
where
have
you
that
get
up
some.
there
of
in the north?
No, a lot of places up north do not like. They don't even. It's not even fathomable to them that you can go sit down at a gas station and have a better meal than you could at a fancy restaurant. Sometimes.
Okay, look,
Okay.
you go to Belfast. Sorry, you go.
Don't you
I
talk to
grew
me
up
like
in
that.
Murfreesboro. That's not north. We did not have.
Murfreesboro is a very small
Sit-down
subsection
gas
of a
stations.
vast swath of land that you're talking about.
Murfreesboro is what we call
Even the like
Stupid.
rural areas don't have that up north. A lot of places.
Look,
Murfreesboro just sucks.
When I was growing
Now,
up,
but it didn't that bad when I
Lewisburg?
was a kid.
Belfast were the go-to places. All the old timers would get up in the mornings.
Mhm.
They'd meet there. They'd eat breakfast.
You want to
They
know what's
call it a
going
day.
on? You want to make business connections, especially like if you're in farming, construction, or anything like that. You want to make
That's
business
Where
connections.
you go.
You want to know the people who really lead the communities. Find you a gas station. Be there at 7:30 in the morning.
Be there earlier. Some
Mhm.
of those guys get up some of those farmers.
That's on Saturday mornings. You be there at 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning
Some of
because
those
they're
guys on
they're
a
gonna
Saturday-
relax from 5 to 7, then go to work. You know,
some of those guys, they get up early and
Mhm.
they're up there.
and they're all like you'll meet. When I was building a house like way out towards Nashville, but it was still in like the rural area. You know, like we were sitting there at the gas station, and a guy pulls up, and like you could legitimately see the inside of his truck from the front. That's how rusty it was. We walked by the truck, and you could peek in the window and see the ground.
Heck yeah.
Like he drove with his feet floating. Old pair of overalls, and the guy's talking to me. He's like, "You know who that guy is?" I'm like, "No, but I talked to him several times. He's pretty chill." He's like, "Dude has about $100 million in the bank." What? He's like, "Yeah, he's one of the largest farmers in this area. His house doesn't even have electricity and running water. Dude's in his 80s. Been doing that every day, probably for 80 years. Probably popped out in that truck when his mama was trying to get to the hospital. How old the truck was. Happy as could be.
That's what I love.
Cutting up with people, laughing with people. Never had a problem.
I was talking to
Now, 50 million, 100 million in the bank can't help that.
at the
I will say
soup
that.
kitchen. That I was talking to some of the people helping me with dishes, and they were like, "Oh, why are you broke? You know, you're wearing the same shirt. You know, joking." And I was like, "My great grandfather owned a $1 million house building business. Probably had the same clothes for 50 years.
Mhm.
Don't ever judge clothes on money, ever."
And that's the thing. Like, I've been with people, like a couple people I've built houses for, some of the older generation that I grew up, like, running around, and not just building houses for, some family, different things that I've helped. Like, I knew them. And, like, when I was growing up, I didn't understand that, like, looks was supposed to mean money. Because, like, all the people I knew that had money looked like they just crawled out of a ditch. Because half the time they did because they was working. But, like, I'd go places, like, we went to a motorcycle shop one time, real nice motorcycle shop, and he was looking for a four-wheeler, big place. And he's walking around, and I mean, this bro's got, the guy I'm with's got cash in his pocket. I'm talking about he wants to buy a four-wheeler. He's got 20 grand, drop cash, and walk out with a four-wheeler. Nobody talked to him. He walked by like 12 salesmen before he finally walked up to one and asked him a question about a four-wheeler, and the guy was like, "Well, you know," he's him hauling him around. He says, "You do not understand that I have cash in my pocket. I could buy all this whole floor right now if I wanted to. And I just wanted someone to talk to me to help me. And I asked you a question, and because of you judging my looks, like, he's like, you're not getting any of my business." And we walked. We left. But the problem is they look at people and they're like, because they don't understand that, like, culture is different everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And if a guy usually comes in there and looks around for, especially you got an old guy, if he's got slacks on, that or the work khakis, and if they've got a button-up shirt, if the belt looks like they've had it for 40 years,
Or they're wearing suspenders.
and or they got suspenders,
Yeah, if I see a guy come in with like overall,
you go check on
bro.
that fool. You sell
Especially-
him anything he wants.
Hey, sir, you want a cup of coffee?
Like, I'm sitting with a guy. This is the problem. Like, what my mentality was messed up with. Like, when like people were like, "You got to look good." Like, people rich got look good. No, they don't.
No.
But like, I'm sitting at an
It's
auction
like
with
Adam
a guy.
Sandler.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting at an auction with a guy one time, and he just bid on a house, right, and a big piece of property, and I think it was like, he remember it was a couple $100,000, like, for this section. I think the total it was like $500,000.
Mhm.
He gets on the phone after winning the bid, and as we're walking away, he's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm gonna need you to drop $750 in my account, please. Yeah, I'll be buying money to sign the papers." Like, if you're well known, you got enough cash flow to like call a bank and say, "Drop 750 grand in my account. I'll be by Monday to sign for you." But you look like you don't have two nickels to rub together, and that's how most. I mean, look at Bill Gates. Even as rich as he is, you're going to see him in that same white pair of sneakers. And like, I don't necessarily care for the guy's character, but he has been very successful.
Yeah.
But like, he looks like a nerd, a broke nerd from high school.
Like I was saying, Adam Sandler showing up to Grammys in basketball shorts and a T-shirt.
Uh-huh. But like, he's a freaking genius.
Who?
Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
He's played his whole career off being dumb, but he's super smart. But that was his niche. Hey, I'm going to do what I want.
Have
And
you s-
I agree with that to a certain extent. Like,
that's how I would be.
do what you want.
Yeah.
Especially like at that point.
I would be so bad.
You give me enough money. to not have to worry.
Unprofessional.
I mean, you know, at least you didn't pee on a microphone. Hey, go shine your light at him and ask him what he's doing.
First of all, he announced it. You
Yeah.
could announce it. And second of all, I've seen everything you have. Why do you care?
Well, it's when you're shining a light on, like the kids are walking around the corner.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You've seen everything I got. I try to hide it from other people. You used to get mad at me when I pulled it out and showed other people.
I don't want you to start pulling it out and showing other people.
Not women, only guys. You can only trash your friends.
Understandable.
First time you got a picture phone, what's the first message you sent?
A picture phone?
Mhm.
Like
Okay, you are so old. We are so old.
this?
Like
Okay.
every phone
Or like a
had
flip
a
phone?
camera when Dylan got a phone for the first time.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I
Oh,
think
I
so.
don't
Listen,
think.
you young twerp. When we were first getting introduced to the fact that a phone could not be tied to the wall,
Oh yeah.
Or the house,
Oh yeah. I
you know.
forgot about that.
and then cell phones come out, and then a little bit later, cell phones got cameras. You had a camera and a calculator in your pocket. Thanks, math teachers. I do have a calculator in my pocket.
Everywhere I go.
But then, you know, we now have the ability to record and document things, right? What do you think my generation used that for?
Dick pics.
Ball pictures.
Oh yeah, that works too. I guess.
Same thing. But, you know, like that was the whole, and honestly, I think half of my generation.
But you weren't sending them to females. Men, do not send those pictures. We ladies don't want them.
No, yeah, I would send it to guys.
Yeah.
One of the first pictures I sent was my balls, and I sent it to a friend of mine, and I screamed in the microphone because you could send like the, you know, audio with it. And I was like, "How do you like my balls?" And I don't know why, but this idiot was in the theater, and he opened it in the middle of the theater.
And you could have turned on the volume, could you?
Oh, it screamed louder, and he was like, "Dude, I almost crapped myself trying to get out of there. Like, I had no clue what I was going to. And this was a preacher's kid. And I was like, dude, why did you open it? Like, don't check your phone in the theater. That's bad etiquette.
I don't know if the movie sucks. I don't,
If the movie sucks, you're going to open your phone?
Yeah.
No, you're going to watch it so that you can make fun of it
but
meticulously.
you can still be on your phone. Like text back in a movie theater, I don't see the problem with that. If your phone's on dim, well, I don't
Do you
see the
know-
problem.
They used to be
That's so
called
rude.
picture phones.
Guys, I have a new idea.
All right.
Let's get a piss cam.
A piss cam.
Yeah, like right out there on the AC unit, just pointing off.
Just showing your back.
Yeah,
Just-
that's-
yeah,
we take
just
it
the
out.
silhouette.
How
Silhouette.
much can we fill up this piss can?
No, a piss can.
Yeah, but then we got pee in a can.
No, I just like
What?
the
Why
time-
have you got to pee in a can to be on camera?
I don't
No, I was
know.
just thinking
It's not like a challenge.
Yeah, no, it's just like. I mean, we could challenge who takes the longest pee because that was a pretty long piss. You know, like when you get to the bathroom and you're just like and then you're like and then you're like
Had a
You're like,
buddy of mine. This
why
was
am I
like
still peeing?
this is like 5th, 6th grade, and like men's bodies change over the years. But I don't know what was wrong with this kid. But like when he peed, he'd pee for like 4 minutes. But he had such a strong stream that he could back up like 12 foot from the urinal and still be hitting it. And like he would do that as a joke. But like every time I'd be thinking someone's gonna walk around that corner one day and just walk right through his daggum stream. It never happened, but I was always just waiting for it. Some idiot's gonna come around the corner and then go to the bathroom real quick, not paying attention, just be like, ah.
That'd be sad.
And that's what I tried to explain to my daughter. All my daughters, okay? We don't grow up.
Except for maybe he's not still doing that.
I guarantee you he is.
I was wondering why are you gonna tell your daughters that don't walk through peach streams?
Well, I mean, that's good advice too, bro. I mean, you
Well,
know,
no, I think
don't walk into
we-
someone
we-
peeing.
We I don't know. We do grow up. We just don't really. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, see, the
Mature?
issue is this. We
mature,
learn-
though.
No.
Mature slower.
We do mature. We do learn how to live life and everything. But I think one reason why you see a lot of men, especially older men, like you start getting 40s and 50s and beyond, you see a lot of older men that even if they were jerks and curmudgeons in their younger years, they start becoming happier people. because they start realizing just because we're adults doesn't mean we have to be adults all the time. Like, you're 16, you're 22 now, 21.
Yeah, I'm 22. Dang.
21.
You
You're
know,
older.
and I'm almost 40, right? We can still go start a fire and throw crap in it and giggle like children, all of us. And we'll be able to do that now. We'll be able to do it 30 years from now with you guys, kids, if you have kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 'cause it's
That
fun.
will never change for us. The fact that life is supposed to be fun is ingrained in us. Women, I think their emotions get in the way. They get so tore up about what people think and care, and they got a lot of pressure on them too. There's a lot, like, women are harsh on each other too. Guys, we beat each other up, but we're like, dude, I know you're a jerk, but it doesn't matter. Like, we can work on it. Like, we're a lot more supportive.
I don't know. I love these videos on Instagram. This like lady will start talking. She's like, studies show that friends who bully the crap out of each other are stronger friends.
Mm-hmm. That's how you're supposed to. Like, if you have a friend that you can't look in the eyes and tell them they're being an idiot, like, truthfully, or laugh at them when they fall over and bust their face, but still go over there and check on them the whole time. Like, when my buddy, I've told you about the guy that, broke jaw from there, they had to fix all his jaw and stuff. Like, I found out he's coming over. I cooked steaks and freaking baked potatoes. And, like, that was just to say, hey, bro, I love you. And I'll cook you another meal when your jaw heals, but I'm going to laugh my tail end off the whole. Had a guy break his collarbone one time. Now, he rode his bike off a direct cliff, like a 20-foot drop. They had it on video. I wasn't there, but the video's hilarious because he just goes off the cliff. He hits the ground, and the guy runs over and, like, shines the camera down. He's like, you all right? And he's, but he broke his collarbone. When you got a broke collarbone, it hurts like heck to laugh. So he come over to the house, and it was me, him, another buddy, and, like, a couple other friends of ours were there. So we decided, like, hey, we're going to be the retardedest people we can be. We had him on the ground crying. Like, every other breath, one was cry, one was laugh. Like, nonstop for hours. And he's like, I hate you guys, but this is so freaking funny. Like, one of the girls with us, there's some people building a deck over there. And she just runs over there in the middle of the random people building a deck. And she's like, if you got any wood? And they're like, what? She's like, wood. And they're like, we don't know you. She's like, do you have wood? And dude, he's crying in the bushes. And I'm like, but that's friendship. That's hanging out with people.
I like to text people about my truck because I know my truck's crap. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. You know, it's a piece of junk.
But it's your piece of
Yeah,
junk.
but it's like, yeah, they'll like talk about how their parents bought them like a 2026 Nissan or something, 2025, 2026 hasn't come yet. But
yeah, you tell me which ones have the time travel. I need to know
Yeah.
those people.
But it's like, and they talk about it, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, I drive a '96 Nissan Hardbody, and they're like, why would you buy that? Like, I didn't. And then they'll be like, that looks like a gay truck, or that's stupid, or why would you buy that piece of junk? I'm like, no, it's just the last thing my granddad gave me before he died. Oh. Yeah, and then they like text back, oh, and it's like, no, it's cool. I know it's junk.
But it's my junk, dadgummit.
But like to make
I
them,
haven't got
to
that
give them the oh,
Mhm.
you know, they're like, or one of my friends will say, why do you always make me look like a bad person?
Some people are just bad at understanding our humor.
Well, here's
part
my
of
thing, did I tell you all about the My Two Truths and a Lie already at 4-H camp?
I don't remember.
At the last camp that we were like trying to get to know each other, our regions or whatever, I don't know what the heck we were doing. And I was like, I said something like, I've never broken a bone. I can't even remember what my lie was. And I was like, my granddad and aunt died within a month of each other.
You've never broken a bone.
Yeah, you've never broken. I'm
Oh,
That
was
was
a
your
lie.
lie.
pretty sure you
Okay.
never broken a
Son.
bone.
What was my other one? I can't even remember.
2 truths, 1 lie.
I hate that game.
One
It's so
truth,
hard.
one lie.
That game is so hard. But everybody's like, oh, it's the grandparent one. And then they're like, and I'm like, no, it's not. And then everybody's like, that's not funny.
Well, yeah, it is.
You can't
I
do
think it's
that.
funny.
It's like getting your reaction was all I needed.
Yeah, that's why it was funny. people used to like, I'd still do it to you guys sometime, but I used to do it to random friends of mine. They'd be like talking about going to see their mama. I'd be like, you want to go see mine? They'd be like, sure. And I'd be like, get a shovel. We got to do some digging. And they'd be like, dude, that's not funny. I'm like, you knew she was dead. You walked into it, you retard. You were at the funeral.
I like when you talk about when you used to do your mama jokes.
Oh, God, that's so great. I need to start. You guys need to help me do that with some people. But, like, we would get around, and I had a bunch of friends of mine that knew it. But, like, anytime a new person would come along, we would drop your mama jokes left and right. I mean, we'd be murdering each other. And we'd wait till the new person would do one on me. And I'd just go stone-faced. Everybody would stop. And I'd be like, my mama's dead, bro. And they'd be like, no. And then they start looking around, like making eye contact with everybody. And they're like, I'm so sorry. And like, we'd start laughing. And I'd be like, dude, like, it's the truth, but like, we're doing it as a joke. Like, I don't care. It's like, I loved her to death. She was a phenomenal woman, but like, I'm not right in the head. So like, it doesn't matter. But I got people that still won't talk to me. Like, I've got people that like, I seen one of them 5 or 6 years ago, and it's been 20 years. Like, seen me in a store and like seen my eye and just turn around and walk the other way. Like, they're so like, they were terrified. I'm like, they just like, I did it. It's like when Tess makes
That makes you look like a terrible person.
It's like when Tess makes dead grandma jokes or dead grandpa jokes, and people are like, it's how we cope. We're
I
not
do it all the time.
correct, but like, you know, I don't think there is a
I
normal
think it's
anymore.
kind of cool. I mean, how many people can say their aunt and granddad died within like less than 30 days of each other?
That's true.
I mean, there's probably a lot of them out there, but they're all sad about it.
Yeah. How
And I
many
mean, like,
people
don't
can
get me
joke about
wrong,
that?
I'm sad about it. I miss, like, I've buried my whole family, and I miss them, but at the same time,
Better
like,
place now.
you gotta go on living.
Or yeah, I mean, go on living, and I mean, everybody's gonna die, so
Mhm.
you can't.
And that's the thing, like, for people listening to this, if you spend your life with honesty and openness, and you put the effort into the relationships that need effort put into them. Like, if a person doesn't put any effort into the relationship with you, you don't have to, like, one-sided relationships aren't worth it. But if you've got somebody like me and Daddy, when Daddy passed, like, yes, it was tragic, it was sudden, nobody expected it, but at the same time, like, we had nothing unsaid.
It took me.
We talked about death, everything he wanted, all that stuff all the time. Like, we said everything we needed to say to each other, so it wasn't, no, I didn't get to tell him something.
I don't know. It took me a long time to like realize that he was actually gone.
Oh, yeah, it's hard
I don't know. It was
to
like
grasp it.
I think the like clicking moment for me was like the day the night before they were gonna or the night they were gonna pull the plug. That day, I was like in the hospital on the couch looking out the window, and like I had not cried the whole time. You know, I was being strong for everybody, and then something just clicked, and it was like I was like watching the traffic, and something about looking at cars, man. I don't know what it is. It was like, dang.
Especially when, like, you're up in Nashville, you're like on the 5th floor of a, you know,
Yeah, and
hospital.
I was just like, dang, and I just like started crying, and that was the only time I cried. But it was like, I'm glad I did because I definitely needed it.
Yeah, you
but-
have to let it out sometimes. But like, it's like when Mama died. Okay,
Yeah.
and here's the difference between me and a lot of people. Mama was an RN nurse. I grew up in a lot of nursing homes. Like, we've talked about this before. Like, I've watched a lot of death, but I've also been around a lot of the medical field. So like, I'm 13. Mama gets hit in a car accident. We go to the hospital. Daddy's sitting up there. So, you know, all the family's there and everything. And like, they're talking about all our injuries. Like, if I remember right, like, it's been, God, what, 26 years? But like,
27.
yeah, it's been a long time. But like, if I remember right, she had so much internal bleeding. Like, most of her organs were smashed. Both her femurs were broken. Like, you're talking about a woman that was 5'6", 5'7", and 285. Even though she was very fit, like, she was a big woman, but like, she worked hard, she could move, she could do stuff. But like, with both the broke femurs and all the damage to her, it was like, she will never live a life that she is proud of again.
Yeah.
Like, she was a very active woman. We went to creeks all the time. We went to all this stuff. But then they were listing all the injuries off, right? And they're talking about this and that and the other. And they're like, well, it's a 50-50 chance. Me at 13, I'm like, no, it's not. There's a 100% chance she's dead. Like, the woman's gone. In my mind, I knew that already. Of course, I didn't tell my family that. But like, we go home. They made me go home. They didn't let me stay at the hospital. And then the next day, my uncle come up to me. And like, everybody's all sad and junk. And I'm like, oh, she's gone, you know. And he put his hand on my shoulder and was like, you know, son, she's gone. And I was like, you know, I put my head in my hands for a split second. And then I picked my head up and was like, okay. And I went on about my business. Now, when I seen her in the hospital, like, I bawled like a baby. That was terrible. Nobody should be put through all that crap. But like, she was never conscious. You know, like I never talked to her after she got hit. But like, and also this is my family. Okay. On the way to drop me off to work that morning, she got hit that day. She told me how she wanted her funeral to be, where she wanted to be buried, how, like all her clothes, everything. And then right before I got out of the truck, she looked me dead in the eye. She said, I want you to know that I am not always going to be here, but I will always love you. And so, like, for me, the whole family freaked out. And they did. Daddy had a hard time with it. Sis had a hard time with it. My grandparents, like, and I understand, like, it was tragic. But, like, I was sitting here watching all these people just fall apart emotionally. And in my head, I was, because I'm a very logical person. I'm a psychopath or sociopath. But, like, I was looking at him going, why are you guys freaking out? She's been telling you most of her life that she would die before she was 40, and it would be a car accident or a heart attack. Okay? She got hit at 36 years old and died the next day of a heart attack or heart failure from the car accident. Why are you guys freaking out? She's been saying it's going to happen for years. Like, that's the part that always confused me. Like, she's been warning you she's not going to be here for long, and you weren't listening. Like, that's not, that's confusing to me. I don't
feel
understand
like
that.
she would have had a very funny sense of humor to me.
Oh, she
'Cause
was.
when Robert talked about they would go to church, or Grandma Angela would get off work, and she'd come, or at lunch, she'd come take a nap at Robert's house at some point. And she'd lay on the floor. He said one of them would lay on the floor and kick their feet up for the back. He said it was him, I think. And she would sleep on the couch. And she said they'd go to church Sunday morning, and she'd be walking around church telling everybody we were sleeping together. Me and Robert slept together walking around church.
Oh, mama was awesome, dude. Like, that's one of the only things to me that's sad about her death, because I've had the opportunity to minister to a bunch of people that have lost parents.
Yeah.
Because of it, and like, she could die 100 times over again just for some of the people I've been able to help. But at the same time, like, it breaks my wife never met my mama. My kids never got to meet their, grandmother. And like, it was one of those things. It's just like, it's sad, but there's nothing I can do about it. Can I tell stories about her? There's a woman that was a very close friend of my mama's that, like, I didn't have contact with for years. And like, she was a really cool woman. And then I moved to a different section of one of the companies I was working for. We run into her again. And I just started talking to her, and I was like, hey, like, I need to come by and see you one day. And like, she lives like half a mile down the road,
Get out. Go.
Get out of my shop. But like, I reconnected with her, and just randomly one day on the motorcycle, me and Tasia stopped by, and I just see if she's home. And like, I did not realize like how much grief and sadness she was still holding on to over Mama's death. And like, this wasn't even like this is my mother, but it was one of her really good friends. And but like, us reconnecting with her, getting to see all the kids and the grandkids, like, she thinks of them as her grandkids. And like, we didn't go see her. We ain't seen her in a while. But like, just seeing that, like, I did not realize that there was people that held on to grief that hard. Like, I had never experienced it myself. A lot of my family wasn't like that. We deal with things different ways.
Your grandma's.
Yeah, but that was her daughter. Like, I can understand that. Now, the level that she holds on to it, and she's got past it a lot, but she still has days.
Yeah.
But like, at the same time, like, when I have my days is when, because time is not linear for me in my head. Like, I'm not like, this is today, yesterday was yesterday. And like, it's not, when I think of time, it's all just up in my brain. Like, so like, I still do it with Granddaddy Bobby. He's been gone for a long time. I'll swing by like where he used to live, and I'll be like, I need to go, crap, can't see him. I seen a guy today. We're out driving around town. I looked over for a split second, and I seen a guy that looked just like a dude I used to work with. And I was like, dang, I ain't seen him in years. I need to go holler at him. And as I was turning to like go, I was like, oh, he's dead. That's not him.
Yeah.
And so like, I do that because I've known a lot of people that's died. But like, that's when it hits me sometimes. Like, I forget that they're not there. And then that's when it hits like for a split second, and it's like, ah, crap, that sucks, and I go on about my business.
Mm.
I think a lot of people have trouble with that apparently, and I don't understand it, but it doesn't make it any less valid for them, I guess. Like you can't wallow in self pity, but like it's okay to have days, you know. Maybe.
I don't know. Your sister's death didn't hit me that hard as it hit the girls, because I was the nephew. And we had a relationship, but she lived in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the last time I hung out with Aunt Faith, she took us to a bar. But this bar had game consoles that you could just so me, Vade, and all your nieces and nephews, all three of them. All of them, but all three of them. We played we just played video games at the bar. And I got this really good root beer. Like really good. It was in a glass bottle.
I bet it was a really good root beer, man.
It was great. And that was that root beer reminds me of your sister.
Yeah, I can understand it. And see,
But I can't find it.
part of that's my fault too.
Yeah.
Like I didn't make an effort to go see her. I didn't make an effort to keep in contact with her. Like we had our differences and stuff, and I'm extremely grateful that we had developed a relationship again. And for the last year or two of her life, we actually talked and texted, and I got to see her some, and
That's one of the last times she came up. She was like, "Who wants to go to Burger King? I'll buy you something if you come with me." And me and Angel got in the car and went to Burger King with her.
And that's the thing too. Like a lot of people, I guess, don't
She
realize
loves Burger King. I don't know what that was about.
It was good food. We had a lot of fun at Burger King. See, Sis worked at Burger King.
Yeah.
And back in that day, Burger King was after hours, Burger King was party spot. As soon as them doors closed, we started cleaning up. I didn't work there. I just would go help them clean up. And then the whiskey come out. So we go to Burger King, and I'd be hanging out with people at Burger King. She'd be like, "I'm going to go somewhere. I'll be back in a few minutes to get you." Dude. It'd be 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd be in the parking lot chilling against the wall. She'd finally pull back up. "I forgot to come back." I was like, "I know." I understand, sis, you forgot to come back. And it was funny because we had a phenomenal relationship, but yet we didn't at the same time. We loved each other so much, but we also had a lot of differences that it took us a long time to get to the point where we're but I mean, for my sister also, when I was 13, 14, she would call me, and she was my older sister. But she would call me in places she shouldn't be at, and I'd have to go pick her up or sit there and hold her. One of the first instances was when she come up pregnant at 21 and was crying because she was scared of being pregnant,
Pregnancy is scary.
I'm 17 in my own house with a 6-month-old. And you're sitting here in front of me bawling because you don't know what you're going to do because you're pregnant. And I was like, "Gal, sis, I love you. But, do you realize what you, toughen up. You got this." And she did. And, but at the same time, it was one of those, and sis is book smarts, man. That gal used to piss me off. She made me look stupid when it come to, book smarts. But then common sense, she'd tell me some things, and I'm heard her scream in a utility room one day. It's when we, I think she was 16, I was probably 13, 14. And I mean, blood curdling. Ah! And I go in there, I'm like, "Sis, are you all right?" "Yeah." "What's wrong?" I look down, she's in her panties, and she's got a giant burn on her leg. She tries to iron her freaking pants while she's wearing them. She's like, "To save time, I'm going to iron them." And she was fine until she hit the steam.
Yeah, steam?
And I'm like, "Sis, you can't, you can't do that." And she's like, "Well, I know that now." But that's the type of, we had a lot of fun together over the years. Used to go hang out and do stuff, and then we'd get in fights and not talk. And it's the family dynamic that you don't realize till you're older, that if they're willing to have a relationship with you and put effort in, there's a lot of crap that we as friends and family and just, genuine people need to just look over. We need to understand that everybody's bad and good at the same time, and give people the benefit of the doubt. You can't let somebody keep hurting you. You can't let somebody abuse you. There are relationships you need to get out of, friendship, romantic-wise, family-wise. There are people you do need to cut out of your life.
And it's okay to do that.
And it's okay to do that. But you also have to be very careful not to be like I was for a long time, to where if you even caused me a split second of grief, gone. And so, like, that was a lot of my relationships that I've burned over the years, is because I just had the inability to, once I cut that switch off, I just cut them off. But I would do it over stupid stuff. And so, like, I'm starting to realize, like, a lot of my mistakes was being too quick to cut the vast majority of people off when I would hold on to one or two people that I should have cut off.
Yeah.
You know, what we got? Hour and 15? Oh, hang on. Let's all give our gang sign producer, who usually is warning us 5 minutes ahead of time. Hey, Dylan, would you look at my wonderful wife over there? Would you ask her what she was doing instead of paying attention to the time?
What was you doing instead of paying attention to the time?
I was playing on my phone.
What were you doing on your phone? Were you playing like some cool game? What do you do with that cool game?
And this video is sponsored.
Oh, I've been watching you the whole time, wondering, have you switched scenes at all or anything?
Trash can cam.
Oh.
I don't like the switching scenes because it makes our audio trash. So
Well, I'm hoping we got the audio fixed. And if we don't, and if you're still listening to us with the crappy audio, like, I do apologize for that, but like, we're like three idiots in a garage with a wonderful woman over there trying to help us.
I don't get paid to be a
we
producer.
don't do anything.
We don't.
Yeah,
I don't care.
well, no. Here's the thing. We don't do anything with the audio.
Yeah.
So you can't say three idiots.
Yeah.
We just talking to the mic.
That's part of the audio.
No.
Nope.
I don't know what it is, but Malachi starts talking, and then Dylan starts talking, and then the aliens show up in the computer system. I don't know what it is.
I think we let Caleb on the podcast, and then
Yeah, we do need to get us a guest mic though, like an actual.
yeah, we need to get let him come back because
I meant to bring my one from the house, but I forgot.
apparently no one could hear him. So
No, I could barely hear him. No duh.
yeah, we need.
So
to
what?
get
Would,
a
like,
new
you
mic
bring your
to come back.
USB mic, right? And we'll put it on the computer, and then we'll move that mic over here for a guest. But that way, she can have a separate input too for her, and that should help clear up some of her stuff. Hopefully, It may not. I don't know why it messes up when you have one program open and the other program open. But then again, I'm also running like a 20-year-old server that's not supposed to be doing any of the stuff I do with it. That is one thing. All the other podcasters out there, big to little, what is it like having equipment that's built for what you're doing with it? Because, like, you see some of these setups, and they got the computer designed for audio. They got all these boards designed for audio. And I'm like, I have jerry-rigged everything with some toothpicks and some aluminum foil. And I'm hoping it stays working, you know?
Yeah,
be
sometimes
like
you
that.
gotta hope.
So,
Hope and pray.
what's up, guys? Like, subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
Don't.
Follow.
Find somebody you do like. Follow them.
Find us
You
on
know,
Spotify.
Fuss at
YouTube.
these two for not doing Instagram and crap for me, because that's their job, because they're young.
And if you like D&D, comment.
No, and if you want Dylan to do a photo shoot in a bikini, get us to 200 likes.
On this video,
Make it 500. I'll make it sexual.
No.
No? Oh, never mind.
yes, just 200 likes, Dylan in a bikini, nothing odd. We're just going to get you, like, chopping some wood.
Can I wear like a?
I've got a fireman helmet over there.
Hey, let's do it.
I mean, we got
500
this.
likes on this video.
Uh-huh.
If this gets 500 likes,
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
All right.
Have a great week, guys.
see you guys.